Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the studios of the Government Center in downtown Winston-Salem. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot in store for you today, a lot of varied topics. We're going to talk about everything from activities at the public library to allergies caused by pollen. You love that segment. I hate it, but you'll love the gentleman that's here. Anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about. Our very first guest, though, is a first-time visitor to the show. Helena Fiore is a Forsyth County Community and Economic Development Program Administrator, and we are so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Let's talk about something that I want you to tell me what this is about, because you sent me an email one day, and it was the Small Business IDA program. Now, what is that, and what's the mission of it?
Yeah. So the Small Business IDA program is a year-long business development initiative that supports our local entrepreneurs through education, coaching, and then a matched savings grant. So the program's goal is to help our small business owners with skills to build financial self-sufficiency and scale their operations with the match savings grant.
So these existing businesses, or it could be somebody that's thinking about a business?
It's existing businesses.
Okay. Now, give me a recent example of a business maybe that, or two, that completed the program. So help me understand it.
Yeah, so we've had a variety of businesses in the past, everything from consumer and personal care to food services. One of our recent business graduates, they own a catering company. And after doing their monthly coaching, classes, and savings, we matched them with a grant of $16,000. And they
Wow.
used it to purchase a delivery vehicle for their catering services.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were doing that. That's a grant for $60,000 to help that business. Now, what you have community partners that I understand support this initiative. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we work with three partners, the Experiment in Self-Reliance, and they provide personal finance and literacy courses. They also oversee the IDA, Individual Development Account, which is a bank account that the business owners put their savings in monthly. We work with SG Adkins Community Development Corporation. They provide business development classes and success coaching, so the small business owners have a strategic plan and a strategic advisor on how to spend their grant funds. And then we work with the Winston-Salem Foundation, who provides the funding for the grant matches.
Okay, I got you. Now, if I want to sign up for this or get enrolled, or however you want to do it to register, first of all, how do you do that? How do you go about getting signed up? And what am I committing to once I say this is something I want to do?
Absolutely. Applications will be open May through July, and you can apply to the program via the Community and Economic Development website. Once we're accepted into the program, you're expected to make a monthly savings deposit, attend business classes, and meet with a success coach for a full year.
So then you guys are actually sort of helping to monitor this progress, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, the goal is self-sufficiency. So we want the businesses to have developed a habit of savings, and they've spent a year with advisors and education to really be strategic about how to use grant funds to expand their operations.
Right. At what point do these funds, I mean, I assume everybody doesn't get the same amount of grant funding, right? How do you sort of decide who gets what?
Yeah, it's a 4-to-1 grant match, and it's up to $16,000. So we match whatever the business owner saves. If they save $2,000, we match them with $8,000.
I got you. Okay. Final question. Why is this program so important? I know you're biased because you're sort of overseeing this whole thing, but why is it so important to the whole community?
It supports our local entrepreneurs with more than just a capital fund. It also really supports their skills and education for self-sufficiency. When they finish this program, they've learned things like how to do their taxes, how to better market their products, and all of that after a year will help them for a long-term sustainable growth.
I just think that's great. Is there somewhere people can go to learn more about this?
Yes, all the information can be found on our website, the Community and Economic Development website.
All right. Helene, thanks for all this. I mean, you're just doing such great work and helping so many businesses and making things run better. I just think, will you come back sometime and talk about it? Update us.
Yes, yeah, I'd love to share more about who's done the program in the past and how they're continuing to provide services
I
in the
look forward to
community.
that. Helena Fiore, thanks so much. We'll be right back after this.
You don't have time to attend every government meeting in Forsyth County. Subscribe to the Forsyth County newsletter. Available the first day of the month, the Forsyth County News arrives in email with articles, videos, and links to information and programs that matter to you. See updates from county commissioners, hear from the county manager, see quick videos of programs and activities, plus a look ahead. Stay up to date. Elections, tax office, air quality, parks, deeds, and more. Forsyth.cc/newsletter. Subscribe today.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and have a first-time visitor to the show who does such great work in the community and has for years. We're talking with Alfonso Thomas. We call him Al. He's a peer support specialist with Forsyth County Behavioral Health Services. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You sent me an email one day about something called a Stepping Up program.
Yes.
Now, what is that all about?
Well, Stepping Up is a national initiative, and Forsyth County adopted that initiative in 2015. And then 2017, they did a pilot program that was geared towards helping the women in Forsyth Detention Center.
Okay.
That program done well, so in 2019, they expanded to a men's program as well. And I came on board in 2021, helping graduate the first two male graduates. And so to this day, we have 18 male graduates, 24 women graduates.
Wow.
And, we house two programs. One is the super program, and it stands for Stepping Up to put an end to recidivism. And then the other program is Mental Health Court. It's a pre-court program that they can possibly get the opportunity to dismiss some of their cases.
Right.
So they
So this-
graduated 52 graduates out of that program.
52. Now that's total. Is that, and how many? How long?
Well, that was the mental health, just the mental health side of that
Right,
program.
right.
So they have graduates as well.
Is this state or federal funded, or just funded by taxpayers in Forsyth, or how does all this?
So our funding come from the county, so from Forsyth County.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now let's talk about the individuals that you're helping here. You talk about the men and the women, and you're making progress. You've expanded the program. What kind of things have they been convicted of? You talk about there's mental health things at stake, so maybe they've been on some meds while being detained that are important. Others want to get out and get a job, or what is it you do for these folks?
So we stepping up. I like to think of us as like a second chance program. Our focus primarily is reducing recidivism. So we
Don't want them going back in the system.
Yes, and even candidates that look like they're headed the wrong direction. So we just don't focus on the justice involved, but also those that may have some hardships or circumstances that may lead them to incarceration.
Yeah, because they got to be, in trying to reintegrate into society, there's obstacles and challenges and things that are going to frustrate them. What kind of obstacles are we talking about sometimes?
Some of the obstacles is mostly quality of care crimes, like larceny, breaking into places just to sleep, homelessness, substance use and substance abuse play a big role in the population that we serve.
Yeah, and you're trying to help and steer the folks into a situation where they can get back into society and be productive.
Yeah, so we help them kind of like, we have case managers that's on board. They help them with those immediate needs. And me and my colleague, which is, she deal with the women of the program and I deal with the men. But together, we work as a team to help them like with those things that could be interfering with their process. So
Yeah.
they address those immediate needs, and we come from a place of personal experience and related skills. Because me, myself, I was a candidate as well as somebody that's been incarcerated.
You've been through it.
Yes.
Yeah. Came out on the other side.
That's right.
What does all this mean to you personally?
Personally, it's a pleasure to work in the field where I once needed help, and now I am the help. Yeah, so I combine my personal experience to passion and professionalism to help them with their process.
No, we couldn't do it without you. I really appreciate you sharing that with everybody. Is there a website or something like that
Well,
that people can go to and learn more? Or
I
what?
definitely want to make a note of this, that we was in the government center, and now we moved to 650 Highland Avenue.
Okay.
So we share a space with Daymark,
Okay.
and soon to be RHA, and as well as partners in that area. But we're on the second floor in Suite 210.
Now, is there a website or anything people can learn more? Or how
Yeah, they can go to Stepping Up Initiative in Forsyth County
All right.
and find more information about us.
Al Thomas, thanks for all you do, sir.
Thank you.
All right, man.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Get back after this. Back now on Forsyth County Connections. I have a first-time visitor with us, and so glad she took some time out to be with us. Janelle Berkey is Director of Medicaid Services Division of the Forsyth County Department of Social Services. It's a big responsibility, and she's very busy, but we're glad she stopped by to spend a few minutes with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There have been some major changes to North Carolina Medicaid, so let's talk about that. What are those changes, and how have they impacted Forsyth County?
Biggest change is December 2023, Medicaid expansion came in by bipartisan vote. We now have Medicaid expansion, 40th state, North Carolina, and that has provided access to folks that were not eligible for Medicaid prior, and that's the age group of 19 through the age of 64 years old.
Yeah, we didn't rehearse this, but I mean, I'm just curious. People that weren't eligible before and now they are, give me one quick example of something that would have held them back from being eligible before.
Not having children,
Not having children.
not being disabled.
They say, okay, well, you don't have children, so you really don't need Medicaid, but now that's changed.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do I know if I'm one of the county residents who now qualify?
So there's about 118,000 folks right here in Forsyth County receiving Medicaid services. So that's 1 out of 3 people are receiving Medicaid.
Right.
There is about 17,000 folks right here in the community running around that are possibly eligible for Medicaid services that have not submitted an application.
Maybe they don't know.
Absolutely. And so historically, because those folks have been denied or terminated from Medicaid, they're less likely to come in.
Well, that makes sense. If you go,
Right.
well, I'm not going to go mess with this again if I
Right.
couldn't get it before, but now they can.
Absolutely. So when we're talking about those qualifications, it's you're a resident of North Carolina, you're a citizen or a qualified person. You make, for one person, about $1,800 a month or less. You'll possibly qualify for full Medicaid services.
All right, now let's talk about the application process. I think you told me in an email that you wanted people to know it has been simplified. What do you mean by that?
Simplified, streamlined application. Not many questions. Anything that we need now to verify information, we sort of receive that through an electronic hit. We're not asking folks for pay stubs and birth certificates and driver's licenses and social
So
security
it's not real
cards.
complicated.
Absolutely not. Streamlined process.
And can they fill this out online, or do they need to come to an office and do it the old-fashioned way, or what?
Yes, sir, they can do it right online. That address is ePass, so E and then pass, PASS.NC for NorthCarolina.gov, or they can come to the office, they can call us.
All right,
Those resumes.
I'm an old guy, I write slow, so all right, give me that again, I'm going to write it down.
So it's the letter E
Okay,
and then the word pass, PASS.
okay,
.NC for North Carolina.
Okay.
.gov.
got it.
G-O-V.
Okay, that's good. All right, now, going back to why people might be reticent to apply, there's sort of another angle to that, which is they say, well Ms. Berkey, I've heard that the government might cut out this or that, or, you know, is there a fear that the government might cut this at some point, or what?
I think there's a fear just in general about Medicaid. We're hearing a lot about it on the news. There's a lot of speculation. What I do know is that the benefit is readily accessible today. And there's 17,000 folks here in Forsyth County that are possibly eligible. And those are the folks that I want to touch, and those are the folks that I would like to talk to. Have an application completed, determine eligibility, and provide access, because that access also provides economic wealth for our community.
What about folks that say, well, how does this matter to me? I mean, I don't know anybody in my immediate family that needs the Medicaid services, but I guess my question to you is, why is this expansion good for the whole community?
So when we look at health systemically here in Forsyth County, it creates a wealthier, healthier, safer Forsyth County when folks are getting the assistance they need. And when we're looking at a population within our community, just like every community throughout this country, of folks that are in a season of homelessness, in a season of addiction, there is usually some mental health behind that as well. Medicaid can provide the access, the treatment for quality health care. We have one of the best conglomerates. We have wonderful medicine right here within Forsyth County. We have great providers.
Right.
They can help. Medicaid can help with that process of giving folks the access to recovery, treatment for mental health.
Makes everybody
and
more
also-
productive.
Absolutely,
Good
safer.
employees, good,
Yes.
yeah, I got it. That's
Yes.
great. Well, you've already mentioned the epass.nc.gov, so we've done that. I want to remind people that's somewhere they can go. Janelle, thanks for all the work you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Positive praise is at the heart of each parenting strategy from Boys Town. Visit boystown.org/praise to receive your 10 Ways to Praise magnet. It's a great reminder to catch them being good, and that great parenting advice is just a click away.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and I can't believe that I've even agreed to do this segment. It has to do with pollen, my enemy, but my friend is here to talk about my enemy, Rob Russ, Senior Environmental Specialist, Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I know this is a stupid question, but just so we have a definition here, how do you define what pollen is?
Well, pollen is a little particle produced by plants, and the most important thing about it is it contains the male genetic information for that plant.
Okay.
And in order to have fertilization for a plant, in order for them to produce, say, a seed to reproduce, that male genetic information has to get to the female genetic information on the female part of the flower.
My daddy talked to me about this when I was 12. I think.
Well, it exactly is. It's birds.
Yeah.
They can move to.
Right.
Male bird can get to female bird.
Right.
Plants are stationary; they can't move.
Right.
So the pollen moves. So you could say one way to do that is bees. So you get your birds and your bees.
Right.
The bee could carry pollen from one flower to the other, but that's not the pollen that's bothering you and me.
Let's talk about that.
yeah.
What are the pollens that cause us so much trouble with allergies?
Right. Those are the ones where it's not a sticky pollen that a bee is moving around. It's wind-borne pollen. It's a different strategy for distributing pollen.
Right.
And plants that do it have to produce a lot of pollen. Because when you think about it, all that yellow pollen that's on your car, that didn't do any fertilizing of anything. It didn't get its job done.
Right.
But that produces a lot because it's not that efficient. And so it's all in the air. It's just randomly blowing in the wind, going from one, tree to the next or grass plant to the next.
Well, how do you and your team, how do you measure this?
We have a machine, it's called a rotorod sampler.
Okay.
And with this device, little plastic rods, a little smaller than a wooden matchstick, spin around on a device so fast, about 40 revolutions a second, that they sweep the air, and they have a silicone grease on the front edge, and the pollen gets impacted in that and stuck.
Right.
We then take that and stain it with a special stain that stains it pink so we can see it. Otherwise, individually they look sort of colorless.
Right.
But the pink stain helps us to see them, and then we look at them under a microscope at about 390 magnification, and then we actually individually count them, and there's a mathematical relationship between what we count on the slide and the concentration of the pollen grains in the air.
And then that tells you just how pervasive our problem is at any particular time, right?
Exactly. We have spring right now is when we tend to have the most pollen in the air. It's mostly due to trees because they produce so much. It doesn't mean that that's the worst time of year for everybody. Some people are much more affected in the, say, late summer and fall with ragweed.
Well, I was going to ask you, are certain plants, I mean, they don't all pollinate at the same time, right?
Exactly. There are seasons for each plant, and the spring is typically when a lot of our wind-borne pollen-producing trees pollinate. It's not the the pretty dogwoods that are causing the trouble. It's the oak trees and the maple trees.
Okay.
But you also we're starting to get grass that's pollinating. That peaks more in May, but it's starting now, and some weeds are even pollinating now.
Right. Now, I know you are not a medical doctor, or maybe you are and you didn't tell me over the phone.
No.
So you're not giving medical advice, but basically, since you're an expert on pollen and these kind of allergies, what is it that we can do to minimize our symptoms if we suffer with this kind of thing?
I guess the best way to be to think about pollen as dust in the air, so anything you can do to reduce your exposure to that would be helpful. Don't go out on days when the pollen is high or like a dry, windy day.
Right.
You could wear a mask, COVID-type prevention mask would work well. Some people use that when they mow their lawn. Other things to do is to not bring it into your house. Don't hang your laundry out to dry on a high pollen day because you're just going to bring all that pollen in on your sheets.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Just use the dryer if you can. We have about 10 seconds left. Very quickly. Yeah, you've worked at this job for what, like 30 years, I think?
Yeah, I've been I guess I'm in my 31st year. I've been doing pollen. This is my 26th year of counting pollen.
Do you ever get allergies?
I do. I think there's some grasses that bother me.
Yeah.
I'm actually not bothered that much right now. I think I'm going to get bothered a little bit later in the spring. Yeah. So I think it's a grass-related thing.
Well, it was a pleasure to talk to you about something that I hate talking about. So, Rob, I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, how can we learn more about this kind of thing? Is there a website or anything?
Yeah, we have a website on our section of the county website. If somebody did a search for Forsyth County, North Carolina pollen, you'd find our webpage.
Got it. Rob Russ, thanks for all you do.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be right back.
Does that golden dust have you on the defense? Stay ahead of the pollen with the Forsyth County pollen forecast delivered by email.
You've got mail.
The Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection uses a pollen sampler in downtown to capture readings Monday through Friday. They analyze the findings, create a forecast, and
You've got mail.
you have a forecast in your email for the next 3 days. Sign up online today.
Back now for our final segment of the show. Thanks for sticking around. We have a lovely young lady who's been with us before, and the reason we keep having her back is because there's so many neat things that go on at and around and in the library. So here she is, Kirsten Rio, Library Supervisor for the Forsyth County Public Library. Good to see you again, dear.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me back.
Now, you sent me an email about something called the Summer Reading Program. So let's talk about that. When is it going to start? What date is it? I mean, when does it really kick off? And who's going to participate?
So on May 30th, which is a Friday, from 6 to 7:30, it's going to be at our Central branch here in downtown. And we're going to have so many really cool things. It's going to be throughout the library and on the lawn. We've got some of our stuff where we're going to have crafts, and we're going to have little demonstrations of science explosions
Cool.
and experiments. It's going to be great. You may see yours truly there. And
You're not going to do explosions, are
I
you?
am going to do explosions.
Wow, okay.
Of course I'm going to do explosions.
all right.
I'm all about the explosions.
Good.
But we're also going to have we're going to have 4-H there. We're going to have somebody from FAFSA there. We're going to have booths about different, I think we're going to have an adult book club booth there.
So the summer reading thing really is all encompassing about learning, right?
Yes, it is. It's kind of to combat the summer slide. So it was created years ago as a way for the children during those summer months where they're not getting the day-to-day learning that they would in school.
Yeah.
They can go to the library where they're given either contests or their programs designed to help supplement that learning and keep them engaged and focused during those months.
You were mentioning, I want to circle back to some of the activities you were talking about. And I know this is going to be a dumb question, but they're watching this, they're wondering, all this plethora of activities, can they be age specific? In other words, can any age kid benefit from some of these activities?
Absolutely. I mean, we try to make sure that Kickoff has enough for every age. We have stuff specifically for adults. We have stuff for teens specifically. Children, we tend to lump children together, but they can still benefit from anything that we're showing. And we're also at kickoff talking specifically about what the summer is going to look like, not
Right.
just kickoff, but what other programs we're going to offer during
Right.
summer.
Now, in what specific ways do you encourage kids or motivate kids to read? Because I know when I was a certain age, I like to read certain things about history, whatever, but yeah, sometimes I'd rather be out playing ball or that kind of thing. So how
That's
do
fair.
you get them to focus? How do you say, hey, here's some neat stuff to read, or what are you doing?
So there's multiple ways that we try to encourage reading in people of all ages, because we also have adults who are reluctant readers. So we try to kind of combat that as well during summer. But we have programs that are designed to fit a theme, and this year's theme is all about Color Your World. So it's very artsy. It's all about different techniques like painting or sculpting or filmmaking,
okay.
any kind of an art.
Right.
So we have programs that are designed to fit that theme, and at each program we have books laid out that kind of focus specifically on that theme. If it's painting, then we have books about painting. If it's sculpting, we have books about sculpting, things like that. We also offer story times all throughout the summer, and each branch has story times, but our branch, the central branch, we also have specific story times for the different age groups.
Well,
So-
you've already sort of answered this next question, which is why it's important for kids to read and this kind of thing in the summer months. But really, somebody might say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't they just take a couple months off and just do nothing but play? Why is it important to keep learning?
It goes back to the science of brain development, because children are sponges. They're, especially during that 0 to 5 time, where they're soaking up everything. As they age, that kind of slows down. They're not soaking up as much.
Right.
So when you have that gap, that 2-month to 2.5-month gap where they're not in school, they're not learning every day, it can be a detriment to them because it puts them behind for the upcoming year.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Now, where can everybody go to learn more about the activities and what's going on?
Gotcha. So you can go to our website, forsythlibrary.org, and there will be a tab in the events section that'll say summer reading. And I think, forgive me for this because I'm really bad with links, but I think it's forsyth.cc/library/summer reading.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we
is
can go
the
to
link.
that and learn all about it. That's neat. Hey, look, I appreciate you doing this. You always tell us about these neat things going on at the library, and I think that's just great, keeping kids of all ages engaged. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
And that sort of wraps it up for this edition of Forsyth County Connections. But I want to thank a few very important folks. Ed McNeil, of course, is our executive producer on the show. Jeff Fabrizio puts everything together and attempts to make me look like I'm, I don't know how he makes me look. But anyway, and of course, a tip of a hat to our county manager, Chantel Robinson, who does just a fantastic job. For all of us here in Forsyth County, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.